Hello, hello. Welcome. My name is Jason Day. I'm a product designer at Atomic Robot, and with me is Bren.
Hello, I'm an iOS dev here at Atomic Robot as well.
All right, all right. Today we're going to walk through just real quickly how we can collaboratively make progress indicator with both design and development. So this is just kind of a sneak peek at what we're going to make. A couple different variants of the progress dot, and then we'll just put it in a little progress bar. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty. So I'm going to start by making a little section here to work in, just like that. And let's just name it progress bar. Let's just call it that for now. Take off my cap locks. So I'm going to start with, in Figma, just with the frame, hold down shift. And let me get my toolbars up here, command period for that. And we're just going to make this a 16 by 16. How's that sound? And then
Okay.
I'm going to do little rounded edges there for that to make it a circle. And let's go ahead and call it dot. That's what it is. And for Figma users, we're going to do option command period just to go ahead and make it a component. Nice little quick hotkey for that. And we're going to add a little stroke, the light blue. And I'm going to make it a two-stroker, just like that. And leave the inside. We'll make that white. There we go. And that's the first dot in Figma anyway.
Nice. So the dot itself, they're going to be 16 wide, 16 high, and that line is 2 points.
Sweet. And so what program are you using to build this in?
Yeah, I'm actually just building this right in the Swift Playgrounds app.
Nice.
It's a free app from Apple. It allows software development. Yeah. I'm using Swift UI so that it will provide real-time feedback as we're building it.
That's cool. So dot line width, you're just defining that. Okay.
And so the first dot you built was the empty dot, right?
Yep. It's going to be the incomplete or empty. Yep. However we want to kind of name that. And if you need the hex code, I can give it to you.
We'll just stick with the standard colors for now.
Okay.
Just for this.
I can dig it.
The colors we can change.
Right.
Back.
All right. While he's doing that, I'm going to just go ahead and make a variant of this, which is just basically a duplication. Apply auto layout to this and just give it a little tiny bit of extra padding. Helps me. Whoop, I can type right. And adding auto layout, it just kind of helps. You could like put it horizontal or vertically really easily, just depending on kind of how you are used to your workflow. And so this one is going to be the completed dots. So this first one will come back up here and rename it incomplete. And then this next one we're going to call it complete. And I'm going to do the fill with that light blue that we have selected for the stroke of the incomplete one. So what's you have like these like red, like it looks like warning messages.
Mm-hmm.
What is that telling you?
Yeah, basically it's just saying that there's things that I haven't completed. So it can't render anything yet until I complete them.
Gotcha.
So like there I was missing a R. It was misspelled something. But most of the time it's just because I'm a terrible typer.
Me too. I got the fat fingers that just tap everything incorrectly. All right, pretty cool. All right, so you're setting your stroke style, your background, your frame width, and your device on the right. That you can do that for any size, right?
Yeah, and I can resize it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's reactive. So there's the empty dot. So I'm catching up to you there.
Woo-woo. I dig it.
And so now you built the completed dot.
Yeah. Exactamente. All right, well, you're dropping in that guy. I'm going to make another one, and this is going to be, I'm going to call it Start, and I'll explain why in a moment. And we're going to make that a cosmic blue. That's a kind of a pre-style we have there. And I'm going to take off the stroke for this particular piece. And then we're going to make another duplication of this, because these are both going to be kind of the active state. And so for this second one, we're going to call it end, because this is going to be an interactive component. And I'm just going to add a basic light blue stroke, and we're going to change it to the outside of it. And I'm going to make it about 8, I think. And yeah, that should be good. And then so for the prototyping, the interactive component, we can just switch to this prototype panel. And when you hover over it, it has these like little dots, so you can pull a little noodle off of it to the next one that you want it to change into. And you select this one, and we're just going to have them kind of go back and forth with each other. And once you put these two noodles together, we can select both, and we're going to do after delay, and we're going to do, let's say, 50 milliseconds for the after delay. And rather than reinvent the animation, I'm just going to see what I did here and just kind of recreate what I think we had. So 2400 milliseconds is the actual animation that we want, which I think that's what it defaulted to. Yes, it did.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the dots. Dotty dots.
So I have a few questions.
Okay.
For the animation, did you say it's an ease out? What kind of curve
Oh,
would
right,
it have?
right. So let's select these guys, and it's an ease out. Yeah, ease out.
Ease out. And you
Mhm.
said 2.4 seconds. All right. And then I'm going to do something here where it's going to repeat forever, and it's going to, it's going to reverse. That way it kind of pulsates, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A couple other questions I have about it is that the background circle,
Mm-hmm.
how bigger than the indicator is it?
So that's a good question. So the stroke is 8. So I guess it's, if it's 16, you add 16. So I'm guessing it's 24 total.
The stroke is 24?
Well, no, the stroke is 8
Or I mean,
on a 16 circle. So the outer radius, I guess, is 24 if you count that.
okay. So it's basically 50% bigger.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Cool. I can see you got the incomplete dots. Looking good, looking good. All right.
So basically, I'm creating some characteristics of that background circle,
Okay.
which will be what animates. So basically, the way I'm going to build that is I'm going to have two circles on top of each other, or two circles, and they're stacked. So with layers, kind of on a Z scale, right? And
Got
so
it.
the background one is the bigger one that's basically 1.5 times the one that's on top.
Right.
And so that's what I'm building right now, and I'm just kind of setting some parameters. That way, I can use them um, when I actually draw all the circles.
Cool. So when you're putting in false, like what does that mean?
Yeah. So the way the animation works in SwiftUI is basically I'm going to compare two different states, and so I just have a bool value, which is true or false. Um, and so the initial state is going to be in a false state. And then once I draw the view, I have it toggle that state. And that allows it then to animate the change. And if you notice this animation, it's going to auto reverse and repeat forever. So in other words, even though I only toggle it once, the animation is just going to keep looping. It's going to keep continuing over and over and over again, even though I only change that state one time when it first is drawn. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thinking behind it.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start putting the actual horizontal bar together. And so to do that, I'm just going to start with the active one because the first step is usually the one you start, right? And then I'm just going to hit Shift Option and pull this out to make a duplication of it. And the next step would be incomplete because we haven't gotten there yet. So let's go ahead and do that. And then if you just hit Command D, it'll just space them out the way the length you pull it out. Pretty cool thing about Figma. And then I'm just going to snag these. You just click and drag, and I'm going to hit Shift A to put them in auto layout. And we're just going to go ahead and name it as we go. Big proponent for naming, progress indicator. All right, and then enter, and we can go ahead and do that hotkey option, Command K, and we have magically have a component just like that. And we want this to be responsive, and right now it's not, because usually if it's responsive, if you pull this frame, like all these dots will kind of go with you, but obviously they're not doing that. So we want to go to our auto layouts panel and go to your three dots here. Everything's hidden in three dots, apparently everywhere. And so you get your spacing mode here, and everything's kind of packed together, right? So we want the spacing between everything to be equal all the time. So we hit doop, and then now when we pull it apart, it will, if I click it correctly, come on, Jason. Whoop, still not listening. There we go. All right. Sorry if you hear my dog. He's only wants to go outside when I'm in meetings or recording tutorials. Or he's like chomping on his food or drinking his water incredibly loud. So yeah, so we have the basic dots all set up, and now we want to add that little like line in the background. But I want to pause there and give you a moment to kind of like tell us where you're at.
Yeah. So right now I'm plugging in the animation. So I'm still a little behind you. So here is where I'm telling it to toggle on appear.
Mm-hmm.
So now what I can do is if we want to see what that looks like, in progress, fonts, let's give it just the color blue for now, just to see it. And yes, there we go. Got to name my variables correctly. Give it a second to re-render so you can see right there. And so now it's so it's really big right now, but that's because I just haven't sized it. So if I give it the frame here, Let's see. There we go.
Look at
And
that.
there's the pause.
Yay. I love it.
So now we have our three indicator states. So that's where I'm at.
It's beautiful. I love it. Nice work.
Thanks. So you started with laying them out correctly, correct?
Yep. So I think they're basically the grand width of it will probably be 343 because I just generally work in the 375 width and leaving the 16-inch or 16-inch, geez, the 16 pixel padding on either side of a device. Kind of standard for what I usually work out of.
All right.
And I'm going to go ahead and drop this line in here, just hitting L and spread this thing out. It doesn't really matter what size you have. You can always adjust it later. And we're going to change this color to that light blue. And we want that stroke width to match these incomplete strokes. And we'll go ahead and cut that. Command X and paste it. Command V. And it kind of crushed all my dots and it looks broken, but that's okay. We're just going to come over here to this little guy where it says absolute position, and we just tap it. And you can basically like move it freely within that component without affecting your auto layout settings. And you can do command like that back bar bracket, or you can right click it, or I guess control click on a Mac, and then just go send to the back. And then we're going to take this guy, and I'm holding down shift to keep it straight to the middle so we don't see that come out when we're adjusting the size, and same on this side. And for that line, that we need to make sure that the constraints that it moves left to right, so that now it's responsive and that line moves. Because if you don't have this left to right, let's just take it off to show you, it won't move as expected. So see, it just like stays there to constrain to the left. So that's why we want to select that and shift and click to make sure left and right is selected and it is responsive. So where are you at now?
So I got a line
Okay.
position there. And so what I am doing is making it responsive as well. So as I grow the screen or shrink it, the line will also grow
Awesome.
and shrink. So I have a line. And now I need to I'm gonna stack the dots. Now here's one question that I have is we haven't talked much about the number of dots that appear there.
Okay. Yeah, so I think for this purpose, I think 4 steps in like an onboarding situation, which is kind of what we're, vaguely hinting at here. You have a progress bar. So we could add another one if we want to, but I think we could just stick with the 4 for now. But just depending on what you're designing for or what you're engineering for, you may have to add more steps. But I think 4 is a good number to start with.
Okay. Basically, what I'm going to do right now is I am going to have it draw circle for each step.
Okay.
Let me give myself just a little bit more space here. There we go. Oh, wrong one. There we go. So then here I'm going to do for now, let's just do an empty dot.
Kaboom.
So even though there's 4 of them, they're all kind of stacked right now. So now I'm going to do the math to figure out how to place them.
Cool. All right, while you're doing some math, I'm going to do some little Boolean trickery over here with our layers for designers. So you just want to select each of these dots and you go to this like little layer guy, and we're gonna call it 4 because it's the 4th dot. And then we're gonna call this one, we're gonna create a new property. We're gonna call it 3. And then this one, we're gonna come over here and call it 2. And the reason why we're doing that is, so let's just duplicate this. And now you see we have these booleans. And the great thing about this is if we don't want that 4th step, we can turn it off. And now we just magically have 3 steps, and these are also responsive. So just makes it super easy for designers to make quick updates if they're a different part of their onboarding process is not 4 steps, it's 3 steps, or maybe it's only 2 steps, but for 2 steps you might not need a progress indicator. I don't know, depending on how long the steps are, I suppose. But yeah, we'll turn these back on, and if you come in here, you can adjust these. So you can make it, you can just click them, drag them, drop them, so that they're like, 2, 3, 4 in order. It makes a little bit more sense. All right. How's the mathematician over there?
Yeah. So basically, what I am doing is the first thing I do is I figure out how many empty steps there are between the dots. So looking there at your example of 4 dots, there's 3 empty spaces between them, right? So really, that mathematically, there's going to be 1 less empty space than there are the number of dots. So I created a little variable that computes that. So it takes however number of steps there are, and I subtract 1. So now I'm calculating an offset based upon the size of like the width of the view. So that way, as it moves, so if it shrinks or gets bigger, whatever that is, it will be able to react to that. And I need to calculate that for the item. So what I first do is I look and say, hey, if the index of the circle is 0, so in other words, it's the first one, then there is no offset. I return a 0 offset. If it's the last one, then I return basically the width of the component minus the dot width. So that way the dot appears at the end of the line. Otherwise, what I do is I just take the width, whatever that is, and then I divide the number of spaces multiplied by the index. So if it's index 3, right, or index 2, so the first dot is 0, the second dot's 1, the third dot is 2, but that's 2 empty spaces. So I'm multiplying 2 empty spaces, right?
I got you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So here, now I can just simply then do offset X. And then I'm going to use the offset index that I just created.
Nice.
So now, hopefully, if I did that right, yep. Now the dots here, it's evenly spaced, and no matter what size I make this, they will always shrink and compact according to the width.
That's awesome. I love it. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna make some variants of this dude. So we just come up here, hit plus, and we're gonna come back up here, rename it to 1. We'll rename this one 2, and we're gonna change this one to start, because that's kind of what that is there. And then since we're on step 2, we completed step 1, and we'll call that complete. That's that. And then we'll just hit this plus here, now that you made another one. and then kind of just repeat this again. It seems a little tedious to kind of do this, but like really, like once it's done, you really don't have to do it again. It's not as bad as it may seem. And we'll go complete, and I don't think I named that correctly. Shame on me. There we go. 3. All right. So now, if I take out, let's say, this progress indicator, I can go to the properties here, and we can rename that actually to what property would be steps, maybe. I don't know. So now we can just say I want 4 steps, the 4th step, or I can say I want the 3rd step, or the 2nd, and so on and so forth. And they should all be nice and responsive, kind of like what you just did. And yeah, so that's how we get all our little variants, and we can change it for every screen per need as needed per requirements for each screen. And what do you got going on now? Progress step.
So now I am determining which indicator step for a particular index I want to return. So if the index is less than the progress step, so in other words, the progress step is, let's say, 2. So they're on step 2 out of 4. So if the index is less than that step, then it's complete, right?
Okay.
Because they're past it. If the index is equal to the progress step, well, that means it's in progress because that's their current step.
Right.
The index, though, is greater than the progress step. Well, that means it's not. Um, it hasn't been started yet.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Which actually, I'm just going to do a default case for that.
Gotcha.
In code, computers, right? They unlike humans, they don't know. They can't just intuitively figure out what you don't explicitly tell them. So in this case, I'm doing comparison on math. There's a lot of numbers that I'm not comparing. So in other words, there could be numbers that are greater. There could be so I have to use like a default case because I'm not explicitly saying anything else should be incomplete.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So let's put a little spacing between these because we're going to add a little animation to these. So I'm just going to switch again back to prototype mode. Again, if you hover, you see these little dots. You can just click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. And I think I can select all these. And let me just see what I did up here. I don't have to spend too much time on this. So we're going to do, after 1600 millisecond delay, 1200 millisecond animation. Hopefully that will work. If not, we will adjust. So 1600, 1200. All right. And we're going to do after delay and change this 1600, change this to 1200. Boom. And oh, did I do that one right? Yeah. Okay. So now, just to test our progress indicator, let's just hit A for a new artboard, and you get these fancy presets here. So let's just do 13 mini. And we can just drop it right in our section here, and let's just do progress test for now. And go ahead and switch back to design, copy, paste. Let's go ahead and make sure it's centered, and we'll just drop it right in the middle, all right? Why not? And so now, let's add a flow point, a starting point, and go back to prototype. and just hit that plus button, and we can just again call it progress test. If I could spell correctly, it would be better off. And that's it. And we just hit play, and I don't think you can see it on your end. You might have to hit the play for our, because you're sharing your screen. I hate to interrupt you. I know you're hard at work there, but when you have a pausing moment.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of demonstrate like the prototyping. So if you click on that
Oh, yeah,
progress test and hit
sure,
play, it should show kind of like what we did in Stigma over here.
sure.
Yay! All right, close enough, close enough. So there you have it.
Nice.
Thank you for jumping over there.
Yeah, so I am almost there.
Yes, you are.
I got to make a little adjustment because this step means something a little different than what we might think.
So can you talk us through like what you're kind of thinking now? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. So if you notice what was happening there, oops. Here, so there we go. All right, so what I just needed to do is the progress step, the humans, we start counting at one usually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
right.
However, computers start at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I was doing just a simple index check, um, even though we said here, hey, let's say we're on progress step 2, the second dot should be indicated, but 2 to the computer was this dot.
Mm.
So what I had to do is just tell it, hey, subtract 1. So now 2 is here. So if we go 1, it should go the first one. Once it re-renders. There we go. There we go. And if we do 3, it should be the third one. And I can add some padding to this as well. That's just because there's that.
Ooh.
And then 4 should be the last one. No. There's always there's always a little bit of things that we got to adjust.
That's right. That's right.
It is there.
It's there. I see it. It's got a little muddy. So why did the other little guy pop in there?
Um, I need to examine my code and figure out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it's also not rendering at the appropriate spot either.
Mm.
I don't know if that's just a render bug. Let me just take a look here. If I go to 3, what does it look like? Yeah, so it's rendering two additional. I know I'm probably missing something very simple.
Devil's always in the details, right? It's like naming something wrong, spelling something wrong.
There we go.
Oh, look at that. What was it?
It's because I was rendering one extra step.
Mm. Okay.
It's the whole 0 thing that I was just talking about.
Got it. That makes sense.
And render, yeah, and render. Yep, there we go.
It's beautiful. I love it. Wow. I think
So, and that's a progress indicator to match we built together basically at the same time.
that's amazing, right? Like how fast did we were able to do that? So
Yes.
that's really really cool. Thanks for walking me through that and everybody else. I think I mean I
Yeah.
learned a lot watching and just like hearing you kind of talk through everything. So
Sure. And what's nice about that is when a developer and a designer get to sit down, what they really can do is they can implement components side by side.
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a nice exercise. So thank you for going through it with me, Jason. It also just helps to think about what are the questions that as a developer we go through. We need to understand things like what are the sizes, what's the size difference between with that pulsing. You already, you know, what's the animation like, and so being able to side by side work on that together just makes it that much faster.
Agreed. Yeah, and like just I just love the collaboration and being able to kind of be almost like better prepared the next time you work with another developer because you're often not working with the same person like consistently.
Yeah,
Depending on what project you're on, you can change your whole team, and from this little interaction, I think it helps us both when we move on and work with other designers or developers in the future. To just kind of be a little bit more prepared about like what they're looking for and what helps them out the best.
agreed.
Well, I think this about caps it off. I hope everybody learned a little something from it. I know I did. It was pretty fun, and look forward to working on the next one.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for the time.
Awesome, awesome. All right, everybody. I hope you have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Peace.